points. And it was interesting. I had the opportunity to sit down with Kevin Willis this morning. And he said that it has been an absolute blessing to start his career in 1984, to leave in 1994, and to come home in 2004. And Kevin said he doesn't really think about his age until he looks across the locker room and sees 18-year-old Josh Smith lacing up his shoes. And then Kevin realizes that his son is at home, who is 18 years old, watching him.
Well, Kevin is number 5 in all-time games played. He is number 19 all-time NBA history ranking and rebounding. So he has accomplished a lot, but has never won the ring that he's tried with San Antonio, but not here in Atlanta. That was the one thing that he really wanted. He said, I want to bring a championship to the city. It's not going to happen in the next couple years, though, unfortunately for him.
Well, now what he can be a mentor and a teacher, and he can teach these young players how to work. Because that's why he's in this league for 20-plus years, because of his work ethic. He does have talent, as you see Royale Ivy with a little floater, but talent is not enough if you don't continue to work hard. And I think he can teach Josh Smith, Dante Smith, all these younger players, Josh Childress, what it's all about.
He played here for 10 years to begin his NBA career as Wade trying to drive. Let's set the lineups. Miami out there with Wade and Dewing, and up front they got Doliak, Person, Haslam. That's the 5 for Miami. The foul there on Wade, who picks up his second. Shaq is on the bench, and he's got 2 fouls as well.
Well, you see the first quarter stat line. Miami, 9 of 19. Free throws, still a problem there with Shaq on the team, 6 of 11. But points in the paint, +8. That's where the difference in the game is right now.
Royal Ivy at the point. There's Barry out there as well. Josh Smith is on the floor. Al Harrington has come back out, and Willis remains working against Doliak. Shot clock is at 3. Rebound by Haslam, number 6 for him.
You see with Keon Dooling in the game right now, Dwayne Wade slides over and play the 2-guard position, and in doing that,
it's fun to watch.
And in doing that, it frees him up to run the floor and get on the court. Now, he did this last year with Rafer Alston. Rafer Alston now in Toronto, so given the flexibility to slide over there and now play as a scorer. But that was a spectacular play there. I thought he'd come down on the floor. Somehow he got that shot off.
Willis will leave, and Peja Drobniak will now check in, the ex-Clipper and Seattle Supersonic.
Well, the rule of thumb, he did come down on the floor. That should have been a travel, because his foot came down before he released that shot.
Dwayne Wade, who a season ago, 75% from the free throw line in this preseason, 90% from the stripe.
One of the things he's got to really learn also, too, Kevin, he goes to that basket with a reckless abandon. He really lays himself out. Last year he missed 20 games, and he's going to pick and choose his spots because a lot of times when he gets fouls, he's hitting that floor. That takes its toll. He's got to stay healthy.
And here's Anderson faced with the double. Harrington passing out of one himself. John Barry is free to fire. Rebound by Haslam. The other thing about Wade is Dooling will bring it the other way. The other thing about Wade, he played the Final Four for Marquette. So that was a longer college season. And as Harrington went for it, Haslam picks up the foul. The summer, the training camp with Miami, the full NBA season where he played over 60 games, starting most of those games. Then Wade practices with the Olympic team. Now he's back in camp, and another 82-plus game schedule remains. And don't forget, he played a lot of games in the playoffs a year ago.
Well, that's why he's got to be able to rely on Shaq to make his job easier. Shaq makes the game easier for everybody when you learn how to play off of his low post game. You don't have to fight every possession to try to score.
Kenny Anderson is in. There was a move by Harrington, and another foul is thrown down low on Haslam, who picks up his 3rd personal foul of the game. Christian Laettner will come in now with Shaquille O'Neal. Laettner is 6'11", the ex-Washington Wizard, Timberwolf, Atlanta Hawk, and Shaq is in for his 2nd stint tonight.
I think they'd like to see these two guys play together because Christian Laettner is a very, very smart player. He's had some back problems here in preseason. Has not had a chance to play much, but he can really pass the ball and he can shoot it. He's a reluctant shooter, but he's a very, very good open shooter, and he's an excellent passer. And I think that Stan Van Gundy wants to see these two guys together.
Atlanta shooting about 40% from the floor in this game. Drobniak, Barry, 4-3. And Shaq with the rebound. He's got 2. Miami the other way, and they're shooting about 47% from the floor. O'Neal and Wade in there at the same time with the shot clock at 6, and Drobniak trying to defend Shaquille O'Neal, who has 9. That is a Miami high.
When he gives that ball up, you can't let him get it back so easily. Kevin, that clock was winding down. Try to prevent him from catching that ball back. He loves to throw the ball out of the post and then repost once again.
Look at him come to the perimeter and give some double-team defense as Kenny Anderson buries one.
Well, their whole game plan is, they did this the first time they played. Al Harrington's going to see double teams, and he's going to have to learn to pass out of those double teams because Shaq is going to come over, and you've seen that every time Harrington catches the ball, Shaq is the guy who's double teaming it.
Miami comes into this game having won 3 straight in the preseason, 3-1. Atlanta has lost 3 straight. They're 1-3. A lot of bodies here, all in white. Harrington for Anderson. What a play.
See, Stan Van Gundy's very upset. Wasn't so much the turnover, but guys did not run back on defense. And that's one thing that a coach just will not tolerate. The turnover's one thing, but you got to run back on defense. That's why he's calling this timeout.
And Atlanta comes up with some fireworks here in the second quarter.
Games, that'll be a tall task for that organization. Although the Eastern Conference does have some weaker teams, so they're going to have to find a way to win some home games.
Atlanta with their first free throw. That's Harrington. Miami had taken 11 free throw attempts in the first quarter. And here comes Wade. Shaq is out there. Leighton playing alongside Shaquille O'Neal still. Keon Dooling. And Shaq with the shot clock down to 3. Walker defending. That's a rarity. You don't see him throw it away very well.
Well, that's indecision again. You know, these guys are just now playing together for a couple weeks. You see Stan Van Gundy, but, you know, Shaq will learn where Wesley Person wants to slide on the floor. That's why you play these exhibition games. You know, the players don't like them, but you've got to learn to get used to the timing, especially when you have new teammates.
Miami's got 4 turnovers this second quarter, 6 for the game. Drobniak and Harrington. He tried to squeeze it in. Turnover number 6 for the Atlanta Hawks. Wesley Person collides with John Barry at the other end.
You talked about the growth of this Miami Heat team. Last year, they got off to a tough start. You look 0-7. Remember, Stan Van Gundy just got the job. Pat Riley stepped down right before the season started. They went on tremendous 24-11 after the All-Star break, Kevin. They won 17 of the last 21, 18 straight home games. They finally lost in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semis to Indiana. They were the fourth most improved teams, Denver, Memphis, and Cleveland. So what a wonderful year. But you know what? Pat Riley said that team did not have any championship aspirations, so we had to change it. So they lost Lamar Odom, who was going to be a terrific addition to the Lakers, Caron Butler, a terrific young player, and Brian Grant. But you add Shaq, and now all of a sudden the bar is raised tremendously, and that's what they're looking at now in Miami. Great expectations with Shaquille O'Neal.
Rasul Butler is checked back in this game for the Miami Heat. Antoine Walker won a championship at the University of Kentucky, and Christian Laettner with a foul. You coached Laettner in Washington.
Christian is a very smart player. Actually, the 2 years that I was in Washington, he was one of my most consistent players. I trusted him. We ran a lot of our offense through him. Again, he makes very good decisions. You have to keep him involved. You have to make Christian feel like he's important to the team. Keep him engaged in the success of what you're trying to do.
It was important to Duke. I'll tell you, with those back-to-back titles they won in Durham.
Arguably one of the best college players to ever play when you look at his record.
Yep, good point. Here's Keon Dooling. And Dooling to the rack.
That's what he can do. He loves that middle pick and roll. He's a spectacular finisher. He's got to start trusting that jump shot. That's going to be the difference of him expanding his game. You can't always get in the lane and penetrate. You've got to be able to pull up.
Atlanta has never led. Miami's been up by as many as 10. Drobniak. Walker, and he throws it away. Rebounding in this game, Miami is +2.
Shaquille O'Neal wants to settle him down. The ball goes through him, and then read the defense and see what happens. Spot up and make the shots. If you don't get the double team, then you score in the post. That's developing your team, knowing what you want to do on the floor.
Game high 11 points for Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, Stan Van Gundy said he'd like to play him 16 or 18 minutes in the first half and then see what happens the rest of the way.
Antoine Walker is coming off a career low 14 points a game with Dallas.
Oh, what a
pass inside. Leitner caught it. Keon Dooling had it right in stride. Timeout, Atlanta.
Well, what a welcome addition Keon Dooling would be if he can come off the bench. We have not seen Damon Jones yet, but if they can help Dwayne Wade in that backcourt, Atlanta slow getting back in transition. Mike Woodson preaching defense. He does not like that. They're down by 13, and they got to talk about it.
TraxLock, selectable 2- or 4-wheel drive. GP Escape navigation system. Automatic or ESP push-button shifting. You need advanced ATV technology from Honda, because in the real world, trails don't clear themselves.
Hitting 5 of his 6 shots from the floor.
He's a very proud competitor, Kevin, and I broadcast in 1999 the Western Conference semifinals, and Tim Duncan outplayed Shaq, and all the conversation was Tim Duncan is now the best young center in the NBA. You see what happened, a 4-0 sweep. They humiliated the Lakers. You see Duncan's numbers and Shaq's numbers. The next year, Shaq came back with a vengeance, won the NBA championship, the league MVP, the finals MVP, led the league in scoring. You know, he will give you that little smile. He's a very proud man, and he came back that next year with a vengeance. With that said, I think he's the leading candidate to be the MVP of the season this year, because I think he wants to prove a point that he's still the best player in the NBA and that he is going to bring this team to the top of the level here in the Eastern Conference to get to the NBA Finals. So I think Shaq is going to have a monster year this year.
He asked to be traded.
Well, yes, and you know what? And the great thing about it was he got to go to a team. The Lakers traded him to a team that he felt very comfortable with. Now, Shaq had 1 year left on his deal, and then he could have gone and been a free agent. The Lakers could not afford to lose him, so they had to make the deal, and they were able to make it with Miami.
Dooling picked up the foul, and at the free throw line is Kenny Anderson. Atlanta is his 8th, different team. New Jersey, where he was the 2nd overall pick. Charlotte, Portland, Boston. You know, just a couple years ago, he was manning the point in Boston, was Anderson, and took them to the Eastern Conference Finals.
They really missed him because he was a great screen roll player. And when they lost him, they lost their screen roll game. And so much of what they did with Jimmy O'Brien was the three-point shooting, and Kenny Anderson orchestrated so much of that.
O'Neal with the miss. Good point. Here comes Walker the other way. Neither team has hit a three-point shot, but a guy who's taken a lot of them, Walker with it. And Anderson angles in. Shaq walks it away, but it's going to be a goaltend. Count it.
You look at the scoreboard right now, Kevin. The Hawks have 26 points after the goaltend by Shaq. Al Harrington, 1 of 3. Antoine Walker, 2 of 6. If those guys don't score and put points on the board, this team will struggle to score 90 points.
Dooling, Eddie Jones, Butler, along with Leitner and Shaquille O'Neal, the Miami 5. The shot clock is at 6. 5.5 to play in the first half. Keon Dooling over Anderson. Jason Collier in the game with Childress, Anderson. We've also got Walker with the ball, Al Harrington on the other side. That sets the lineups. That's right through Anderson's hands and out of bounds. Another turnover, number 9 for Atlanta.
Normally, Antoine Walker is a very good passer. What gets lost in his game, and he's a very critiqued player, because he's a very good passer and he's a good rebounder. And he brought those things to Dallas last year. He's the second leading rebounder, second leading assist man, playing on a very, very good team, so he can rebound and pass the ball.
They go inside. There's a foul on Shaq. He's got 3. You know, just extending the O'Neal conversation for just one more. you don't think he was becoming complacent in Los Angeles?
I don't necessarily believe complacent, but sometimes, you're in one spot and, things get very comfortable. And at this stage of his career, getting a little older, sometimes maybe you need a little jump start or whatever. And you can see he's very happy, very pleased to be in Miami, and I expect him to have a great year. Again, to me, he's the odds-on favorite to be an MVP this season.
Miami has never trailed. The big lead has been 13 points. Shaq again against Collier. He looked good on the spin, it just wouldn't drop.
Well, you can just see right now, Miami's not in sync offensively. That's going to take time. Normally, your defense is ahead of your offense. Offense is more timing and rhythm. You got to make shots. Al Harrington's got to be a better passer, decision maker.
Other end is Rasul Butler.
Going into today's game, Al Harrington had 19 turnovers and only 4 assists. With the ball being in his hand that much, he's going to have to make good decisions on when to try to score and when to pass.
Different role here than in Indiana.
And see Jason Collier with it. Absolutely. And the big difference is, as a guy coming off the bench, you're going to play 26 or 27 minutes. So when you touch the ball, you're trying to get in the game immediately. When you play 37, 38 minutes, you got to get more into the flow. Get everybody involved. You don't have to squeeze so much into a short period of time.
There's the game's first three-point hit by Eddie Jones.
3-point shot.
Walker with the ball and away from the ball. There's a foul as Butler was getting tangled up with Harrington. Butler's got his first.
Al Harrington playing out on the floor a little bit more than he did in Indiana, and you can see just the indecision there. Tried to make a bad pass and it leads to 2 points at the other end. This is a terrific young talent. But his game now, we talked to Mike Woodson before the game. He said, I'm trying to make him a small forward. The guard to be able to guard the threes, to be able to get out on the floor, not just post up, take your offensive game out on the floor. That's a huge adjustment because he's a foul line and under player. He's been a low block guy. Now he's got to try to play a little differently. It's going to take time.
Think of his early teachers with the Indiana Pacers. As he was 18 years old, played with Reggie Miller and Mark Jackson and Chris Mullin for a short time. I mean, they got him right out of Elizabeth, New Jersey, as an 18-year-old high school kid, and he couldn't have gone into a better environment.
Well, he wasn't rushed in to have to play. He was on a team with a lot of veteran players, so he got a chance to grow in practice. So many of these younger guys come in and they think if they're not playing, they're not learning. You can become a much better player in practice, and then you get the game chance and you go in and you perform. You can get better every day in practice.
Here comes Anderson trying to go by Butler, and it will not drop. With a foul and 2:58 to play in the first half, Doliak has taken the place of Shaq, who is on the bench with 3 fouls, and Butler picks up his second with a look at Kenny Anderson, who's from the New York area, came to Georgia Tech, has made his tour around the NBA, now is back in Atlanta.
The truth is, I was born for this.
Shaquille O'Neal was a first-team All-NBA selection a season ago. And you can see what his first-year impact is. Cole High School down in San Antonio. But this is the one thing that will haunt him. I guess at that size, you're going to expect some breakdowns, and he has had his share of breakdowns.
That's why it's so vital for him to keep his weight down and stay away from those little nagging injuries, the hamstring pull, the calf strain, those kind of things that keep you out of games. Being a big man like that, you make a wrong move and all of a sudden you're a pull muscle and you're out. They can ill afford to lose he or Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade missed 21 games last year. Shaq talked about the success of this team. He says, guys, we got to win big at home. You get 30-plus wins at home. When you win half on the road, you got a 50-plus win season. That puts you in the elites of the Eastern Conference. Then if you start getting into the 34, 35 wins at home, you start getting upward to the mid-50s. And now you're really talking about home court throughout.
Michael Doliak, who squares up so nicely for a big man. He's got that pretty shot, and it was almost perfect form.
Well, he really knows how to play. He's a guy that when you put him on your team, you plug him in, he works hard, and one of his biggest tasks is every day to take the punishment from Shaq in practice because he has to guard him.
Atlanta in this quarter is a 3-second violation. Atlanta in this quarter, 5 of 11 from the field. as they just turned it over for the 11th time in the game. And Miami will come the other way. Coming up, it's the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. Ernie Johnson along with Kenny the Jet and Sir Charles, who is live from Los Angeles. They'll preview Game 2 between the Clippers and the Los Angeles Lakers on TNT. Christian Laettner with a John Barry rebound. And the rebounding is even in the game. Josh Childress, the Pac-10 Player of the Year a season ago. And Butler as we approach 2 minutes to play in the first half. Laettner got around Harrington. Feeds nicely inside to Michael Doliak.
Christian loves to pass. Sometimes he's too unselfish in there. He'll pass up a shot, but I think that Stan Van Gundy's also looking at Laettner and Doliak here a little together. Now you're starting to put your team together, put the pieces together.
And Walker knocked it out of Doliak's hand. We're down to 1:41 to play.
Little post up to Christian Laettner. The defense comes over. Antoine Walker. Childress a little slow in his rotation. Doliak with a nice catch and finish. A good shooting team on the floor right now. You've got Rasul Butler trying to post up now against John Barry.
Miami is over 50% from the field most of the game. Walker with the rebound, and he collects his 5th rebound tonight. Josh Childress down the baseline with the foul called on the rookie out of Stanford. Stepped out of bounds. And they bring Wade the other way. Miami has led the entire game and by as many as 13 points.
Atlanta cannot let Miami now go on a spurt here. They're within 13, but you don't want to finish this quarter, this half. Let them go on a 5-0, 6-0 run and push this up to 20 points because, again, Kevin, they don't have the offensive firepower. They have 32 points, and the reason is Al Harrington struggling to score as well as Antoine Walker.
Anderson just picked up his 2nd foul. Nice move by Butler to get free to fire.
Well, he was a big-time scorer in college, and you can see he still has that in his game. But the thing I like about him is he's improved his all-round game. He had a rebounding game. He had 9 rebounds the other night. Well, if he can do that, he will really help this team.
He needs to play defense. Walker inside, diving for 2.
No shot blocking without Shaq, so the good move there by Antoine to get inside.
Shaq leads all scorers with 11. Wade with a nice spinning move inside. Dwayne Wade is put in 9. That was a sweet move by the 2nd-year player from Marquette.
Again, though, with Shaq out of the game, that lane is wide open. They've got some shooting big men out there right now. It opens his driving game up. Wade, pick and choose your spots.
Difference of 7 seconds, game clock and shot clock. Walker with Doliak defending. And a feed to Harrington, who got over Jones. And that will count. And a foul called on Eddie Jones. Number 2 on him.
Nice pass again by Antoine Walker. Does a nice job. Has Michael Doliak on him. Realizes he has the quickness. Laettner coming over to help. And that's just a muscle move right there by Al Harrington. Just a power move. Cannot dunk it, but just muscles the ball in the basket. Will have a chance for a 3-point play.
Well, this is a very young Atlanta team. You see Harrington right there, coupled with Antoine Walker. I guess I feel that these 2 guys are going to set the tone for this team for the season.
Well, they are, and the big thing is fighting frustration because Antoine Walker in Boston, in his time there, he played on playoff teams. In Dallas last year, a playoff team. Al Harrington has been a terrific organization in Indiana that's gone deep into the playoffs, been in the NBA Finals. And you can see what Atlanta has done. They have young players, Childress, Josh Smith. We have not seen Dante Smith, Royale Ivy, all rookies. Hired Mike Woodson, who is a classy, terrific coach. You get Harrington in a trade, sign and trade for Steven Jackson. You get Walker and Delk for Jason Terry and Alan Henderson. This is a whole facelift for this team. Only 2 guys back from last year's team after Chris Crawford got hurt. The biggest thing for them is going to be Harrington and Walker. The first 12 games that Atlanta plays, they will not be favored to win any of them. If they get off to a horrible start, it sets the tone for a season that's very difficult to live through. So, I mean, they're going to have to find a way to scratch out some games early just to keep competitive.
Harrington's 8 points have all come in this 2nd quarter. Final seconds ticking off. Wade against Diaw. who is in the former star in France in his second season in the NBA, and Boris Diaw has picked up his first personal foul.
They've tried to play Boris Diaw a little bit as a point guard. He's a long-rangey athlete. He's not a point guard. He's a very reluctant shooter. Really his best assets. He plays pretty good defense, Kevin, and he's a very good rebounder, you know, for the perimeter position. But he's a reluctant shooter, doesn't even look at the basket, and he's going to have to really look at that part of his game.
He's got great basketball genes, too. His mom was a terrific player.
Yeah, his mom was supposedly the best center ever in France, and his father was the Senegalese high jump champion. Did I impress you with that, Kevin? This is only exhibition, so where do you go from here? That's all I ask you. Where do you go from here?
Minneapolis for the Viking game. Here comes Walker trying to beat the buzzer, and would have counted had it gone in. So Shaq leads them all with Dwayne Wade in 11 points. And speaking of Dwayne Wade, he is standing, this electrifying player out of Marquette. He is standing by with our Cheryl Miller.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Well, Dwayne, you got to be happy, especially about the second quarter effort offensively. Better ball movement, and you got a lot of baskets off your transition.
We did. We finally started rebounding, getting the ball out in transition, and then in the half court, we established our low post game with Shaquille. Got him going a little bit and opened everything up.
You know, you said before the game that other players were going to have to step up. Rasul Butler, you said this guy's really special.
Yeah, Rasul's going to step up all year. That's the name a lot of people should remember because the guy can play. And, you know, we got to have other guys step up also, and I think it's going to happen.
What do you focus on in the second half?
Better defensive and rebounding, and then just keep our offense crisp. You know, it's still preseason. We're still trying to learn and work on a lot of things.
Dwayne, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, let's send it back to you, Kevin and Doug.
All right, Cheryl, thank you. Miami has led by as many as 15 points. And at halftime, the Miami Heat on top of Atlanta, 50-37. We'll take a break, then take you to our studios. This is the NBA on TNT.